John, where and what year were you born in?
I was born in a town called Rovigno, which used to be part of Italy. I was born in 1944. We left there in 1949 because it went to Yugoslavia after the war. So my parents just packed us up and left as refugees towards Rome. We lived a little town outside of Rome for a couple of years, and then in Rome for about 3 years before coming to the United States. So I've been here since 1955. We arrived in San Bernardino Christmas Day.
Was anybody artistic in your family?
My brothers drew quite a bit, especially my oldest one. He was into drawing and doing watercolors, I think. So I think that's what my interest may have sparked there. I wasn't really exposed to anything growing up, and we lived in Rome, and all the monuments, whatever we saw, was just, matter of being there. It was nothing special at the time, just you live around it, you see all the statues and carvings, especially what the Vatican had to offer. So as far as members of my family, I just recently found a cousin that lives in Trieste who's an artist. So we're first cousin, and he's a really good wildlife artist. Excellent.
What is your formal art training, or who were your mentors or teachers?
Formally, I can't say I really had art training. What I took in school, took a course from Famous Artist School, and then I started working for a department store in the art department, doing layouts, and became art director, and then started doing some drawings for the store itself, and finally I just got tired of being there, I guess. Things changed in the department store, and I went out looking for freelance work in LA and was hired by Robinson's. So I freelanced for about 10 years for them. Kept pretty busy during that time. Didn't really paint much. And I started taking some classes from an artist in Pasadena area, painting outdoors. One of the first workshop I took with was Michael Lynch. And then I took a workshop with Ray Vanella and one with Len Shamil. Walt Gonski was one artist that I really admired at the time, and still do. I think he's a great artist.
Why did you gravitate, or was it a series of events, or just one thing, or that gravitated you towards fine art? Why did you want to become a painter?
I don't know. I think that was always in the back of my mind somewhere. I don't know exactly where, but I always wanted to paint. I had taken a session with Sergei Bongard, my wife at the time when I was not freelance, but I was working for a department store, for a birthday present. Bought 4 sessions, a month's worth of lessons from him, and drove to Santa Monica and studied with, study. I mean, 4 sessions isn't really studying, but he was good. I always admired his work, so I think he spent time with me, which I appreciate. He wasn't the jerk that everybody made him out to be. I thought he was a really nice person to me.
Kind of serious
Towards
about
me.
art. Yeah.
Very serious, I think. Very.
So sometimes he was misunderstood maybe by some people.
Well, I think he could be brutal.
Yeah.
I've heard him say a couple of things to people that were.
Yeah.
But the other hand is that he probably had him in his class forever.
Yeah. When did you feel that you were getting closer to your vision of what you wanted to put out on canvas?
Well, I don't know if I ever felt that way. I mean, the advertising market died overnight, basically. So I was painting, had begun painting. I'd gotten a gallery in Laguna, and then Ray Vanella, through his help, got me in a gallery in Taos. Through Ray, I met Kevin McPherson, and we were really pretty good friends. We hung around quite a bit together for a number of years, painted together. He got me into the Taos Gallery, or asked me if I was interested in going to the Taos Gallery, which I said sure I would be, you know. So it kind of moved from there, you know, through Kevin and being outdoors. I mean, that was the biggest thing, is just being outside, painting outside. That was the big, that was my teacher, really. Nature was the only inspiration and the only one that really showed me the way, if you want to, you know, use that metaphor.
Yeah, yeah. Do you think that painting from life, like direct observation, is important, and why?
Oh, absolutely. There's nothing better. I mean, you can't feel the atmosphere from a photograph. You have to be there. You have to feel that distance from where you are to what you're seeing. You know, you just don't see it in a photograph. There's no way. And you also, from a photograph, you're limited to this little area, you know, whatever the size of the photograph is, where outdoors you have a wide spectrum to choose from. You can pick and choose objects, shapes that you want, much more than you can from a photo. And the other thing, photographs usually don't tell the truth. There's a lot of lies in there.
Do you think it's a good tool? Photography is a good tool?
It's a good tool to help you remember things. And if you're working from your field painting, that's where photography would come in. I think it's a great tool if you're experienced enough. Photography, you can work from photographs, but you have to spend that time painting outdoors to know what the truth in what you're looking at is. Because many times, you know, you'll take a photograph because they're just, either you do not have the time to paint, or you may not have your equipment. And if you see a scene that particularly inspires you, you'll take a photograph, and you know, maybe you'll be able to paint from it. Maybe you'll just look at it and appreciate it. I don't know. I've done probably maybe a handful of paintings from photographs, but the experience that you have had painting outdoors for X number of years, that's where it comes in.
How many years you've been painting outside?
Whew, that's a good question, because I don't even remember now.
Many years.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure well over 15, maybe even closer to 20. I don't know.
How many years did it take you to get sort of the grasp of it a little bit, like what you would say? I mean,
you know, you can say it takes 5 years to. It's longer. It's always a learning experience. I'd say maybe 5 to 10 years as a range, and then more than that.
Yeah. How have you seen representational art change over the last, let's say, maybe 25, 30 years?
That's a good question.
When you started out painting versus
when I started
now?
out, I think there were probably less artists at that time. Now everybody's painting. You see a lot of young artists emerging that are really very, very good. So I think maybe the exposure has been greater. I think young people have been looking at it more and maybe seriously studying.
Have you worked in any other mediums than oil?
Watercolor, you know, played with that for a while. And I do like watercolors. I just haven't pursued it. I just love the feel of oils.
Have you painted other subject matter that?
I painted still lives, yeah. That's beginning I did, besides going outside, painting outdoors, I used to do a lot of still lives. And I think that's a great tool to learn from. You can set up your subject, you can set your light any way. I used to set my light source very low, almost like a sunset light, and play around with that, the warm light, hitting the subjects, the reflections, all that. I think all that is part of painting outdoors too. You know, in a still life, I tried to feel my way around an object. so that you had a glass, you want to see, not only see the front of it, but you want to feel the side and what's behind it. So you can just kind of feel that all around the subject, and that's what you're doing in landscape. That atmosphere is what you're trying to feel. Granted, you don't have that forceful atmosphere in a still life, but you still want to get that feeling of recession from one object to the next. So I think there's a relation between still life and outdoor painting.
Who are some of your influences on your, in fine art? It could be deceased or even living.
Well, living, I think, my first major probably was Michael Lynch. I really admired the looseness of his work, the simplicity, and the quality of light. I think Lynch Emile was another one. I mean, just a phenomenal designer. Great designer, and I enjoyed talking to Lynn, getting a feeling of how he thinks and what his feelings towards art are and so on. Deceased, God, there's so many. I mean, just go, the typical Sargent, Sorolla, Zorn, Antonio Mancini was another one, and then a group called the Macchiaioli. If you look at some of their work, that plein air work that they did was phenomenal. They were before the French Impressionists.
Yeah, they were like rebels.
Yeah,
That's right,
yeah.
of their time.
Yeah. So I mean, there's so many that you really can't. Whistler was another one. Just a number of artists. I think every art or artist that you're exposed to, I think you take something of that with you. Yeah, I think this. What we do offers, meeting some really, really great artists. The show with the Plein Air Painters of America used to be involved with in Catalina Island in California. Each year we invited 5 guest artists, and normally, we would invite someone, we always wanted to invite somebody that we admire. So by bringing people that we admire as guest artists, made us work harder because we don't want to look bad in their eyes. Through them, I met George Strickland, and immediately we connected, and we became really good friends. Later on, another one that became a really close friend was Skip Whitcomb, and the three of us are more like brothers. I mean, we just kind of relate to one another. We enjoy our friendship, and other artists that you meet along the way, like Scott Burdick, so many of them, Clyde Aspavig, Matt Smith, and Matt and I were still very good friends as well. So you develop a friendship and a camaraderie among these artists, and they become your friends, and you always admire their work, and it keeps you, let's say, it makes you want to strive to do better, because you see what they're doing and you feel their work is so superior to what you're doing. It just keeps you going to a higher level, different level, however you want to phrase it.
Or like an energy that happens.
Right. I think so. I think it's and the camaraderie is just great. Catalina was a great place because we were all together on an island. We worked hard all day, and then in the evening you all get together, have a glass of wine, and just have a good time. Enjoy the company, and begin the next morning all over again.
Yeah. So the Plein Air Painters of America kind of helped to form a little bit of.
Well, I think we were probably. The group was one of the first that. It was the first group that actually painted outdoors and made it. Said we're plein air painters. And I think every group that originated kind of evolved from that.
That was 80-something? 80?
Gosh, I can't remember that totally. 20 some years ago, or over 20 years ago, I guess it was. So maybe even longer now. As you get older, your time kind of gets shorter. In the old days, they did that. Artists got together, they'd go camping or whatever, they go painting for weeks, months at a time. And I think basically what we're doing today is no different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Trying to get together with friends and just paint.
Yeah, and that's an important part of the process as a painter, not just the physical laying
ab-
down of paint,
No,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
That we had the opportunity to, I think there were 10 or 12 artists that went to Maine a couple years ago, and that's what we just had a place to ourselves. We stayed at the same big house. Each one had their own room. We painted during the day and got together in the evening. Just that camaraderie, and then looking at the work that we did at the end of the week was phenomenal. I think that's just a great experience.
Yeah.
Try to do the best that you can today and try to do better tomorrow.
So if you can go back in time, John, what artist or group of artists would you like to meet?
That's a really, really, really tough question, because besides the obvious ones, I don't know, probably the Macchiaioli, I would say, because I think they were just beginning a concept that took hold. I think they were pioneer in painting outdoors.
What advice can you give an aspiring artist that wants to be a painter or maybe even sculptor?
Don't settle. Be really choosy. Don't ever feel that you've reached your goal. Because I think the day you feel you've reached your goal, you're dead in the water, you stop growing. So that would be my best advice. Never be satisfied with what you do.